Some senior citizens in Nigeria are asking the president to look seriously at government reform, which they say is at the heart of what the NSAS protest is all about. I spoke to one of the members, Professor Ajayi. Thank you so much, Professor Ajayi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, for talking to us. It's been days of reflection on several issues. There's been protests weeks before up to this particular point. And we heard from the president, some people say finally. What's your reaction to the president's speech as regards the issues, the crisis that took place in the last couple of days?
NSAS is not just about those men in arms that maim and kill and rape and injure the young ones. It's about a plague in our society, about other men in uniform that do exactly the same thing. And also those that are not in uniform that do exactly the same thing. And this is part of what senior citizens in the country came up with in a statement, 41 of them, asking the president to look seriously at governance reform. This is at the bottom of what the children of the youth are talking about.
He said they were in line with the extensive promised reforms of his administration. And of course, he listed some of the other things like the farmer money, trader money, and the promise to lift 100 million people out of poverty in a couple of years. He said to the youth, your voice has been heard loud and clear. Are these not enough, seeing as the way things have accumulated to this point where we are right now?
He says they've abolished SARS. Oh, really? He had a report in 2019 which says he should do something. They've abolished SARS in the past. He abolishes SARS. 3 days later, they say they form SWAT. Who is deceiving whom? These are not kindergarten children, and we are not imbeciles in this country. We're all reasonable people, and the demands of the youth is for reform, for their benefit. A young man wrote a post and said, you know what? Our future is being burnt, and some people are out there burning the present. We have to be very careful, and the president must breed peace. Nigeria is 60. I thought he would use the occasion to speak to us at 60 and what he will do, and then tell us what he wants to do in 10 years' time when people are dying today. Oh, please.
Let's move away from the president's speech to perhaps the federal government's response in some of the states, which is the judicial panels of inquiry for victims and some of the things that a few of them have come up with. What do you make of some of those promises or those panels that have been set up to address the issues?
Well, I mean, using the governor of Lagos State, Sanwo-Olu, as point of contact for a few others that have done the right thing. One must praise the steps that Sanwo-Olu has taken. I mean, it was right there up front before, this came to a head, offering to set up a fund of 200 million naira, and, he set up his judicial committee of inquiry immediately. Things were done and called for youth participation. But the question we need to ask ourselves is this. So this panel then concludes its report and says, do this about the police, do this about the army, do this about security. Then what? He can't do anything. He has no control whatsoever over any of the men that carry arms lawfully in society. So, yeah, Judicial Commission of Inquiry would probably come up with recommendations as to compensation. It may recommend that people be tried. The Attorney General may try people. But what we know is this: the armed forces is not going to deliver any officer for trial, except the officer has been tried by itself. So what's going to happen? These are the questions that we need to look at. So great as that these panels are, and as they may deal with some of the problems that we have, given the nature of our constitution, the responsibility here still lies with the federal government. The president has betrayed our trust, and he's made that worse, rather than doing things that will begin to build confidence in government. And that would have been, for instance, naming and shaming officers that were involved in the shooting of people in Lagos, just to start with. For him to name officers that have been part of killing of innocent Nigerians, some of whom have been named, pictures have been shown. And one would have thought that in this last 1 week, he would have ordered the police to have come up with a list of officers that have been involved in these illegal activities, this unlawful crudeness. But he didn't do anything like that. One would have expected him to speak peace to us and not to give veiled threats to the citizens. One would have thought he would not aggravate the situation by conflating the pure, peaceful protest, well organized, disciplined of the youth, and the mayhem caused by miscreants. But although they are miscreants, let us not forget that these are Nigerians. They are poor because of our government. They are illiterate because of our government. They are angry because of our government. They've been displaced because of our government. So we created this set of people. We created the anger. Not many of those people that you see that were looting want to be looters. I am nearly certain that some of them are graduates. They would rather be doing something else. But here we are. We have no hope. And it's not just in Lagos, especially in the northeast and the northwest of the country, where we have really serious insecurity. What is it that this government is doing? Is enough of all this palliative talk? Is enough of all this tokenism? Why can't the federal government, the president, call out the National Assembly and speak to salaries and emoluments of senators and reps? Why can't he speak to that? Why would 1,000, 2,000 people have reserved for them money that will send millions of people to school, would feed millions of Nigerians for a year? Why wouldn't he speak about that? Why wouldn't he speak about real reform in government? These are the things that our youth speak of. These are the things that people that form 63% of our population, people that are responsible for our future, these are the things that they speak of. Don't forget that the president and those around his age represent no more than 5% of the population. He doesn't speak for us, and it is clear he doesn't understand us. He really needs real good handlers, and I hope he will do something. I hope he would change his cabinet. We thought he would look at his security advisors and the men that are heading our security and law enforcement agencies. If he did something like that, then that will calm down. Then we will calm down.
I think my final question should be, who gets to represent, the young person? Isn't it time that, they sat at a round table to discuss and perhaps draw their attention further to some of the issues you've raised?
Well, I thought he said he knows what the youth want. Thank God he's got children that are youth. He's got the 5-for-5 plan. And there is a plan that is deeper than that. He knows what this is. He knows the consensus of opinion in this country. He doesn't necessarily need anybody around the table to come to talk to him. He knows what to do. There are enough reports and plans before him. Let him begin to implement those things. The president and his advisors, they don't know what to do.